Welcome back to Curiosity Killed the Cat podcast. My name is Maso Fedovo, an engineering student at RMIT University. Today I'm joined with Rajeev Jawaji, a computer science student at RMIT University as well. Today we'll be talking about the world of programming, crypto, and hydroponics. Remember to check out the links in the description. There are books that you'd want to check out there. And before we start, make sure you're following the podcast on Spotify. Anyways, this one's really interesting. Enjoy. You have to speak into there, or you don't have to speak into it, it just needs to face your mouth.
Right.
And then you can just have like this
Like a discussion.
like a hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have started recording
Oh,
already.
actually?
Yeah. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got these two books.
Oh.
I didn't get them. I had them here already from when I was a kid. This is for HTML and Scratch. So I don't know if it's useful. But this
Fun
is
fact,
Python.
like
yeah?
I've told you before, right?
Yeah.
I started my entire journey with programming and all that
Yeah.
with Scratch. Because
Okay.
I
know, is Scratch like the blocks?
yeah,
Okay.
it's like the blocks for like, when you play games.
Yeah.
Or like not play games.
I remember
for
at school
making
we used
games.
to do
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
In like second grade or something.
Yeah.
So how I started programming was I actually started multiple times because my dad's a software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, I kind of showed interest. So he kind of pushed me towards it at the start. But I gave up twice, right? Because I instantly started with HTML. Then I quit because I wasn't understanding anything. I was in like prep back then, right? And then in like second or third grade, it was like a bit of Python. I quit again because I was just looking at what some like Python, some kind of random sites. Like I'm getting the site, but you just search Python, it's probably like W3 schools, right? Yeah. So I was just looking at W3 schools initially. Yeah. And then what happened was, I think around in like 7th grade or 6th grade, I had some kind of like project. So what happens is like, it's got like
a
some kind of
project that you
talent
wanted
thing.
to do?
Yeah. So no, it was like some kind of talent thing.
Okay.
Where you have to like showcase your talent. I was like, let me just try doing one day, like, just do it once before I go from 7th to 8th grade. Because over there in my old school, so I went to a boarding school, right?
Yeah.
So
in India.
it was, so you'd have like junior school, middle school, senior school, and super senior.
Mm-hmm.
So junior is from like now 2nd grade to 4th. And then middle school's from 5th grade to 7th. Mm-hmm. Senior school's from 8th to 10th. And then super senior is from 11th to now 13th because they split 11th grade into 2 years.
Yeah.
To, for like, because back there in India, 10th grade exams are a big thing. Oh. It's like 12th grade exam stuff.
Really?
Right. So if you like, people would like, if you watch some movies, they will treat 10th grade exams, and even in India, they will treat 10th grade exams as you would treat a 12th grade exam over here. Right? It's like that insane. But
it's the same difficulty, right? Or is it more difficult than in India?
It depends, because I never did my 10th grade exams there, so I don't know how it is.
But like the content that you guys were learning, was it did it correlate with what we learn here in year 10?
I'd say it depends, because back there, your English, if you're doing the Indian board, right?
Yeah.
It would be really easy, right? It's like writing a letter to like your grandparent or something, or to writing a letter to like a professor or something, right?
Yeah.
You don't do like persuasives and all that, or maybe you do. I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But with math, very hard, and the textbooks were like stuffed with info. There's like no space.
Is there a lot of coding in your boarding school?
Yeah, there is. So especially if you're doing the Indian board, from 8th grade, you start directly with Java.
Really?
Yeah, you just directly start with Java.
And it's a lot more intense than here, I guess.
I would say so, because as far as I remember, in like 1 year, I'd actually say the same pace. They just start earlier.
Okay.
Right?
Because
and
here I did
Python.
I didn't really feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah, because back there, like, again...
It's very laid back here.
Back there, okay, so I was doing IGCSE. Then during the later, I didn't actually complete it. I just did like 1 year and then I had to come back because I was doing IGCSE before that. But we started Python. So in India, because IGCSE, I did the Asian I don't think it's different. They just have like some Asian edition or something like that, right? And we did Python, but it felt easier than what the ICSE people. So ICSE is the Indian board. I don't know if it's like just all across India or if it's like state-wise. I'm not too sure. I don't remember too much. But yeah, coming back to the main topic, Scratch was how I started learning like how to code.
Yeah.
I got gratification because people were impressed. When all I literally did was I had like a tutorial.
Yeah.
And then using what I learned there, I added more things. I modified things, played around with stuff, and I made like a top-down shooter, right? And
that's cool.
I got instant gratification from this. Like people were like, oh, wow. The process itself wasn't exactly the most enjoyable because you had a lot of times where it just didn't work and you get so frustrated.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, why am I doing this?
I mean, I guess it's not instant gratification.
Yeah, exactly. It's not instant gratification. But at the end, when people saw it or, you know, when I played it, I liked the outcome.
Yeah.
It's like, this is worth it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that like programming for me is I need to like during the middle to see things work, and then it like makes me happy.
Yeah.
It makes me excited.
I guess it's kind of opposite to like my philosophy kind of. It's for me, it's enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And the outcome, it doesn't really matter.
'Cause-
it matters, but it's not the main
I'd
thing.
say during the start, programming is one of the things where at the start, some people enjoy the process directly, or some people like me, because back then I was really lazy. I wasn't really into anything. I was more into math because again, in the environment, I was much better at math than, I liked math.
If you want to scoot, like
I'll just scoot
to be
over.
more comfortable, yeah.
Right.
It's just whatever. Yeah.
So I liked math. All right. Yeah. So I liked math more then, but I wasn't really into anything. So I didn't really see the need to do programming.
Yeah.
And then I was having fun with Scratch, which is actually kind of why I wanted to do game dev.
Yeah. This one's about creating a game of Python.
Ah, right. Yeah. I've actually never made a game in Python.
Oh.
I've tried around with like Python libraries that help you make games, but I didn't really use it didn't really get into it because I couldn't be bothered making like simulating physics and all that, right?
Yeah.
Because again, back then I just started programming.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have gone more into it, but I pivoted to Unity, C#. I would say I shouldn't have done that. Again, coming back to I was feeling good, and for me, my philosophy is sorry, not my philosophy, but now I'm enjoying the process of coding as well.
Yeah.
Because I can like see things. It just feels nice writing stuff. But back then I didn't know things about coding. So I'd have to research every little thing, or I'd get stuck in the docs and I get frustrated. But I feel like coding is one of the things, once you get into the flow of the way things work, you do enjoy.
Yes.
But
yeah.
if you don't enjoy it, you should probably think about something else. It's not worth your time.
Yeah.
Because
like anything.
Yeah, like
basically.
anything,
Yeah.
you really want to enjoy. Like coding could be the worst thing if you're not interested.
I mean, to me, as like kind of an outsider, I will have to learn some kind of programming language. But from me, from an outsider, it seems very difficult.
Yeah, it seems daunting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it's literally a new language.
Yeah, exactly. Funnily enough, right? With programming, I feel like the thing you want to develop is not develop. Actually, you want to develop a mindset, because a lot of people, when they think like, let's say this is an example that I've seen people use a lot. It's not my own example, but let's say like you're sitting down, right? There's a door out there. What people want is just to like walk out the door. They don't pay attention to the little things that you do. You'd first get up. You'd like take a few steps. You'd open the door and then you go out.
I like the analogy.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you do the same thing with coding, you think about the little steps to get to your final goal, then it becomes easier to understand. And honestly, once you learn the basics, the syntax of a language. So when I say syntax is how a language is written, the different statements. So statements such as being, you've got a while loop, which tells you to do something while a statement is true.
Okay.
Or like, let's say, while I'm 18 years or older, or less than 18 years, grow up by a year, right? And you'd keep doing that, right? So once you have an understanding, because these statements or the basics are the same with every single language, but it's not always directly completely transferable. Like Python, right, is what we consider a high-level language, right?
Okay.
Right? And
okay.
C.
High level meaning it's more difficult or it's more...
Easier. Easier.
It's easier.
Yeah, so high level is easier, low level is harder, right?
Okay.
So funnily enough, back in the day, like when Python wasn't there, C, what we consider a low level language, was considered a high level language because they would write in assembly, right? So assembly, think of assembly as like an intermediary step for writing. So what we do now is when we write code in C, not Python, in C or compiled languages, if you ever come across the term, they get compiled into assembly, then they get assembled into binary, right? And they're very close. Assembly does make things a bit more, slightly more readable. And they do a few additional helpful things, but it's not always like instant. I don't want to go into the fine details of assembly because that wants its own topic, right? It's a completely different topic and it'll take too long. But where were we again?
Your journey within
my journey. So after again I got into Scratch, I'm like, you know what? I want to do game dev. I headed into Unity. I was just watching YouTube tutorials, and that was my first mistake. YouTube is definitely a great resource, but I think when you start out, you should try avoiding YouTube. Okay. Because it generally brings a few bad practices in my opinion. Like you can, again, go look at YouTube tutorials, but make sure that's not your only resource, right? You can even start with YouTube tutorials, but make sure you get used to like reading documentation or, reading blogs or stuff like that. So you're used to reading text, or you're seeing something in the form of text. Because when you code, it's not always a direct, with ChatGPT now. People just go ask ChatGPT everything. Honestly, that...
Are you scared about that for programmers?
Actually, not really.
Really?
Yeah, really. Because look, ChatGPT was impressive. But when I tried using it like a few more times, especially recently, I realized it's kind of got degraded. Yeah, but I got better responses back then. At the same time, not everything it generates or compiles to is the most optimal or most true.
But obviously, over time, it's going to improve.
It's going to improve
exponentially, even.
That's true.
So it might be 10 years, it might be 20 years. 20 years.
Honestly, again, I'm sort of, I'd say, confused on the outcomes on, whether we're going to keep pursuing AI or, OpenAI is going to keep doing it, going to keep making things to replace humans. Because if you think about it, right, with programming, like maybe you can get the AI to generate code, right? Let's say you get to generate a project, an entire project, right? There's a lot of little things that like you have to, number one, give it so much info, right? And the amount of computing power that's going to be needed just to have the amount of information. Again, I'll go into depth, like maybe in a different session of how like AI works. I'm not an expert, but I know like a little bit. But like I feel like we need a lot more resources. We're also hitting us kind of what I'd say like a bottleneck in computing power. We can go smaller, which are transistors, but there's only an amount that you can go like smaller up to. Because you'd be reaching atoms, and then you'd be reaching quantum mechanics, right? But and again, there are a few things that I think are interesting which can help it. I think it's called optical computing, where they're using light to compute. Wow. And there's actually a startup. I forgot the name of the startup, but you can...
we can search things up.
Yeah, we can search things up.
Optical.
Yeah, just search up optical computing. And there's a startup which has claimed to make a GPU, which is up to 100 times more. okay, I'm not going to give exact stats, just open the website, but they're much more efficient and faster than what you'd compare, to an NVIDIA GPU.
I'll just go onto the website, Photonics.
Photonics?
Photonics.
Yeah.
Startups. iLoft, Intelligent Lab. There's all these. There's a bunch. Photonics. So photonics is what you're talking about. But yeah, we get the point, I guess.
Basically uses light, right? And the thing that makes light more energy efficient, right? So do you know why heat is generated? You probably know why, like you do engineering, right? So you know why heat is generated during, for like CPUs and all that. It's because of the resistance, right? Of the thing. So with light, you don't really have much resistance. It also travels faster than...
Light travels, it's the fastest thing.
Yeah, it's the fastest. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And but there are, again, it's not a direct solution of why. There's a reason why we're not using light for our optical computing for our day-to-day stuff, because it's not there yet. The technology is not there yet. But
it's something that can be developed in the future.
In my take is that it won't completely replace traditional computing yet. Because there are, again, there's stuff about like optical computing not being able to replace the way like a CPU works properly.
Okay.
It's better for like, I think, linear problems. And, the way the CPU work isn't exactly linear. Again, I'm not too sure.
Very interesting though.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Right, yeah. So this, I've briefly gone into it because... My dream is to make my own operating system, as I've told you before. And so I'm just doing research into that.
Yeah.
So going on with my journey for programming. So I'd say spent a year or two. COVID hit. I don't want to say it's the best year of my life, but it was because we were all at home. I had so much free time. I was able to like code. So I was a beginner, right? I went to a Discord. I got invited to some kind of the game group. Heads up, it fell apart.
Okay.
But the point is, they got like one professional coder, and he initially was interested, but he quit later on but he taught me a lot of like small things. And that is where I started transitioning moving off YouTube videos and just copying and pasting stuff. But I spent another year. Honestly, I'm not going to call it a waste because I did learn stuff. But I wasn't progressing much. And I did come to a stage where I'm like, oh, you know what? Coding might not be my thing.
Wow.
Because game dev wasn't working out for me, right? I just wasn't understanding things. That's when I like started coding in Python, Discord bots for me were the best thing because I could code, like after I write like my boilerplate code, I can write like one thing and instantly test out my feature. So it went from Python, and then I wanted to like make a proper full-fledged bot, and people were using Node.js, JavaScript.
Yeah.
Then I transitioned over to JavaScript, and I started like coding, And alongside, I was also still playing with Python because I was semi-exploring machine learning back then, but I did not understand it, and I did revisit later on.
And okay, compared to Python, JavaScript is high level or?
Okay, so you can't really compare. I'm not going to say compared to Python, but they're both high level languages.
Okay.
And also importantly, they're both interpreted languages, right? So with programming, you've got two types of languages as far as I'm aware of. You've got compiled and interpreted languages, right? Compiled languages get compiled into binary, which is readable for the CPU. Interpreted gets interpreted. So think of it like this, right? If I were to talk to you, like let's say you don't know English, right?
Yeah.
Or you only speak French, right? If I were to speak French to you, you'd easily understand it, right?
Yeah.
But an interpreter is like, I'm speaking English, the interpreter hears what I'm saying, and then retranslates that to you to French, right? So that's what happens. Interpreted language get interpreted so the computer can understand it, right? And they're generally slower than compiled languages. They are getting faster and faster because there's like so many different technologies and things like JIT, stands for just in time compilation. So there's a lot of, I'm not going to go.
Is there a hardware for interpreters, or is it purely a software thing? I don't know anything about this.
It's a software thing. It's a software thing.
Okay.
So it's mostly a software thing, because what happens is you've got like an additional. So you've got, the Python runtime, which I don't know if it's called a runtime. Maybe it is, but you have like the Java runtime. Mm-hmm. With Java and C#, they're like special languages in my opinion, because they get compiled into bytecode, and that bytecode gets interpreted. So
what's bytecode?
So it's like think of it as an intermediary language, right?
Okay.
And that's what enables Java to be cross-platform, because it's the same thing. And again, I think it wants its own topic again. So maybe in the future I can go into depth about like the way, the basics of AI.
For now, just be very general.
Yeah, I'll just be very general.
Yeah.
And that's just what I kind of lost thought. I lost my train of thought.
You were in COVID.
COVID.
During COVID time. Yeah.
Yeah, and somewhere along the line, I think it was I swapped over to JavaScript, just messing around with JavaScript, Python, made the music bot for Discord. And then 3 months, I think like 2 months later, like I got it verified as well. So verified by Discord in around like over 120 servers. I shut it down later on for 2 reasons. Back then, I didn't really realize it was actually kind of sketchy. I sort of knew the way it works as sketchy. Yeah. So the way it works, it just steals it off YouTube. Like straight up just steals it from YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah, so it just fakes, like it bypasses the entire like login systems and all that. And it just downloads and sends the videos.
Oh, wow.
And when bots, fun fact, when a music bot says it, gets music from Apple Music, Spotify and all that, it actually doesn't. It just converts the title to like something that it searches up on YouTube and then just plays it from YouTube.
Okay.
So you're not really...
I don't use Discord, so I wouldn't know too much.
Yeah. So I was... And I shut it down like 2 or 3 months later, like the 2 big bots shut down. I'm like, you know what? I can't be bothered with all these issues. And I'd have to pay for servers and all that anyway, if it does grow.
All right.
So I had a free server. So I was just hosting it off that. While I'm not going to call it a waste of time again, because I learned 3 things. First thing, like, the process of how you make apps. I didn't do planning and all that, but I learned about things like getting things hosted. I learned that I should have read the terms and services and all that. And I also learned how to set up services. Mm-hmm. That's what got me into like the way the Linux systems and all that works.
Okay. Before you talk about that, I'm going to pause because someone's coming.
No worries.
Yeah. Okay. So we had to relocate, but we're back and everything is working.
And I am back as well.
Yes.
All right then.
So we were talking about your journey with
programming.
Coding.
And all that, yeah.
Is coding and programming the same?
Actually, they're different. People get confused between coding and programming. I'd say coding is more the act of writing code, and programming includes everything from like the designing to like designing the code, like designing and planning and all that.
Yeah.
Just like every aspect.
Yeah.
Not just writing code.
Right.
But coming back to my journey with like coding / programming, I later on after again years or 2 years, I think it was around 10th or 11th grade, was when I actually I'd say made a breakthrough. I decided to learn a low-level language.
Yeah.
So I was initially planning doing C++ or Rust.
Mm-hmm.
Rust is hyped up a lot right now. Maybe it's a good thing or a bad thing. I like the design of Rust, but I did not choose Rust for the right reasons. I chose Rust because I did not want to bother with the compiling tool chain for C or C++. So basically, let's just say in order to build my C or C++ project, I would have to learn I found it too complicated. right? I just felt like, I'd had to learn a few additional stuff alongside coding just to like, compile my code. So I was playing around a lot with like Rust, and that was when I'd say I really learned programming or like coding, because I learned, how to properly handle memory and all these other things. And on the side of that, I was learning about like how computers exactly work. A great way for this is this thing called NAND to Tetris. It's a course.
What is it called?
NAND to Tetris.
Okay.
So I'll just again gloss over it.
Yeah.
NAND gates are what you'd call a fundamental gate and a fundamental logic gate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a logic gate is like, and or, so NAND is what builds everything. They call it the building block, right?
Okay.
So from using NAND gates, creating Tetris, an operating system that can run Tetris, right?
All
So
right.
it's a good course which gives you an insight on like how everything works, how memory management. Again, it won't be, you're not gonna like, you're not gonna make the next Linux or the next Mac OS or next Windows, right? But you will build an important understanding,
Yes.
and that's where I am right now, right? So
Yeah.
I would say I spent a lot longer than what people would generally, like, from what I've heard, what I've been reading, they're at the stage I am for just a year or two, right? But since I started much earlier, I had a very bumpy journey in a way, because I
Okay.
kept starting new things, quitting stuff. I went from game development to wanting to like do like write code for networking, to like AI. Again, I told you when I was doing JavaScript, I was messing around with Python to play with AI.
Yeah.
And then it landed up with, right now I'm interested in like low level systems. I'm not so great with like electrical engineering or like, making circuits and all that. But I
That's why our powers can combine and
Yeah.
we can create something
yeah.
amazing.
So I like coding stuff for that, like coding low level stuff. I did spend a bit of time learning assembly, which is a low level language. I didn't like make a full on project, but I kind of like messed around with it. And I had so much fun because it was challenging at the same time, like satisfying, even though you're writing a simple project to do, like maybe just like printing hello world or just doing basic mathematical calculations. It felt so good writing it, but then again, I didn't completely pursue it. And again, if you do NAND to Tetris, you will sort of learn assembly. You will learn assembly because you have to make your own assembly language, and then you have to make your own programming language.
All right.
But it's great.
Nice.
Yeah, and here I am.
Should we talk about your projects or yeah?
To be fair, with my projects, I'd say like till this date, the only projects I've sort of completed are like my school programming projects, because I had like some kind of deadline. I didn't think. What I have a problem right now, right? Which I'm trying to improve on. Maybe the next time we have a podcast or next time I'm invited, I'll have fixed it. But I have a problem where I come up with an idea and it just grows so much that it's no longer feasible to do by me, or I just get overwhelmed. I overwhelm myself, right? There's a term for this. I think it's called like scope creeping. I don't know. But I think again, so most of my school projects, right now I have a project which is kind of promising in terms of completion, which I've talked about. So basically, there's like a universal standard for barcodes. Let's say you have a chips packet, right?
Yeah.
It will have a barcode.
Yeah.
And in order to make sure that, when the supplier that sells chips goes to another store, they don't have conflicting barcodes with other stuff. There's a universal standard that makes it unique.
Okay.
So using this, because I'm vegan, right? Again, different topic. I'm not really against the whole meat eating people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, I have a dietary requirement. And I've noticed that sometimes like I just can't be bothered reading the small text, or the barcode, or like those big packages where they have small like jellies and all that. So they have a barcode on them, but like you can't, there's no like ingredients. You have to look at the box. So basically you just scan it and it will look through like a database and give you all the like dietary info about it.
Yeah.
So right now it's still like, I'm still optimizing a few things with it, but it's a promising project.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I told you about the app. There's an app that does something similar.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm gonna show you now. But yeah, I think when you told me that, I found that so like you can do that like with your level of coding. That's just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm trying to do this year, my goal for this year is to attend, 1 or 2 hackathons, collaborate with people, and complete 1 or 2 projects. Or rather than completing, because again, I don't want to limit myself or create like a restriction, but come up with an idea, design it, write some prototype code, and actually like make it public. Because most of my code is just like, private on GitHub, or I just don't bother using GitHub because I'm too embarrassed on how easy and simple it is. Like my Discord bot, I have the code, but like I deleted the future version, like the final version, and I like have a backup somewhere.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. I should have just made it public so people can like criticize, give me tips on it. So if you're getting new to programming, don't be embarrassed. No matter how simple it is, just keep it on GitHub, make it public. If someone wants to see your code, they will like, they'll see your journey.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of my regrets, I'd say.
Okay. If I were to start coding or start to program, like I am going to start. If I wanted to start programming with Python, where would I start?
Okay. I'd actually first, let's take a step back.
Okay.
If you're interested in programming, the first thing that I would take into consideration is your age, right? Yes, you can code at any age, but some languages are just not going to be easy for like, let's say like an 8-year-old to understand, right? Again, in your case, you want to be an engineer. So 2 languages come up to mind. Python, again, and C/C++. Right? I would love to say Rust, and it is, there, but there's so many additional steps, whereas C is basically become a protocol, right?
Okay.
Where every system, chip and all that supports C. There's a lot of things that I can talk about, but again, I'll just leave that for later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
if you was to structure it, first check like what age are you?
Yeah, exactly.
What programming language should you start with?
Exactly. Because if you're, the reason I say age matters, in a way, it doesn't really matter. You can do it, if you're a genius, you could learn it much easier. But like, let's say again, you're an 8-year-old, you don't have the mathematical understanding that like a 12th grader or university student has, right? And with coding, you don't always need math. It is there. You will notice that you have to do math. You can Google it, but the way you understand and think about things is going to be different. And in your case, since you want to be an engineer and all that, C++, I would actually start with C, because there are so many things that Python abstracts away that when you move from Python to C, it becomes difficult. But, since I'm trying to drag you into a hackathon with me, since you're good with math, I would say just go with Python for now and learn C alongside it. And I'll maybe help you set things up later on.
Yep.
But I would start with C or C++. For C and C++, go to the Cambridge website, Cambridge University. They have a free C/D++ course. I've not done it myself. But there's way too many resources. And from everyone that I've talked to, because I was doing an interview at AIE, because I was initially planning on doing game dev there. And he told me that C and C++, or like if you go to like, YouTube as well, you'd see like so many people talking about this one course, which is why I'm not going to like directly recommend it, but I'd say take a look at the C course on Cambridge. Learn it. They have free tools, and I've heard it's really good. Or if you don't necessarily want to rely on it, just go to like some kind of Discord server for programming. They will guide you.
Yeah.
right? They will dump all the resources. If you have a question, they will answer it right away.
Okay.
Fun fact, when I was learning how to code, I initially relied on like Stack Overflow and all that because, again, when I started coding, ChatGPT wasn't exactly there.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can ask ChatGPT for help. But I went to Discord because I don't even have to wait for a few seconds, right? Just 1 minute, like 1 minute later, I'd get my response. Stack Overflow, it's not always the case. And you don't really have that, like, you can, in the comment section of the answers, you can go back and forth, but it's just easier on like a platform like Discord.
Yeah.
So I would say find a Discord server for, whatever language you're planning on choosing. Get into it. Ask them for help or something. They will give you resources for learning how to code. Go there. Start coding things.
Yeah.
Right?
So the best way to learn how to code is to start a project.
Yeah,
I
just
guess.
start, like, it doesn't have to be, it can be really simple.
Yeah.
So my first Python project, apart from like in the whole Hello World and all that, was like I'd say it's like a very mini banking system. So what I did was I learned something called I learned something called like JSON, right? So I didn't have it didn't have a database. Like it did. My database was a text file in JSON, not the most optimal thing, but still there. And I take commands like like deposit, withdraw, and I implemented that kind of thing. And then every time they wrote something, I would save it directly onto the file, right? And then I went on to making, because my school, they kind of like had networking stuff blocked, but they had like a shared file system. So by using that file system, I made like a chat application to like, save things onto the file. My application on the other end will detect changes on the file. So yeah, I would say just start off, if you're interested in engineering, implement some algorithms and, just start coding. Have like a very small idea and just start doing something. You don't even have to have a full project.
Yeah.
You can do small prototypes, to help you understand the language better, because reading things, just watching YouTube is not going to help you.
Yeah.
I think it's gone like 45 minutes, right?
38,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the coding, the programming world.
Yeah.
That part of your life. We were also talking last time we spoke, yesterday, I think, about aquaponics and hydroponics.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to me.
Yeah. So
My dad and I were also thinking about getting like a small setup, vertical farming setup here.
Right.
Aquaponics seems like it's not as good as hydroponics to create the perfect plant, I guess.
Yeah. Because hydroponics uses
We should explain what this is first. Yeah.
So actually, tell you what, why don't you try explaining aquaponics and hydroponics from what you understand?
Yeah. So hydroponics is they use it often in vertical farming, which is when you grow plants vertically, often microgreens, which are younger versions of plants, but they still have the full amount of vitamins that the full-grown plant has. Hydroponics, so I don't think they use any soil for the plants. They use water that has minerals put in it. That water feeds the plant without any soil. And they use UV light or sunlight or whatever.
Yeah.
And then aquaponics?
So aquaponics is the idea of using the fish, their poo and all that, to feed the greens, and the fish eat on the excess. I'm not too sure on the excess roots of the plants. But I want you to also, it's the problem with aquaponics. It's very, very costly because the pH level for plants and fish are very different. You have to do a lot of monitoring, and aquaponics is also not hydroponics is not just generally restricted to vertical farming.
Yeah.
I have seen vertical farming where they actually do grow like soil. They use soil as well.
Yeah.
But I think right now the problem with all these systems is they're way too expensive.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen a lot, like so many, maybe more than 50% of the vertical farming startups. They're trying to be so innovative that they're buying robots and things like that. They're going bankrupt because at the end of the day, they're just selling salad.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, the consumers, they only care if it's cheap and it tastes good,
Yeah.
right? And honestly, that is understandable because many people, they can't,
Especially in
again,
Australia,
yeah,
where the cost of living is going up.
yeah, it's grown up
They don't
so
want to
much.
pay a premium just because it was farmed vertically or hydroponics. They don't really care.
Exactly. They're not too concerned. And even like for me, the thing that matters to me most is, whether it tastes good. I used to care about the way it looks, but now I don't, as long as it's healthy and I know it's going to be good. And if I can get it at a cheaper price, right?
Yep.
And that might not be a good mentality, but that's what people are going to think. But these systems and startups and all that, they also there are some successive. They're not some startups that are feeling success, but it has taken them 10 to 20 years, 10 to 15 years to just break even. Because that is how expensive all these things are. Because you have to like design, you have to also monitor things.
Yeah.
And, with light, it's not like you're getting sunlight. You have to pay for that with UV light.
Yeah.
And I've read articles and like reviews, because I probably should do more research, but I've heard that it doesn't taste as good as food grown with sunlight and soil.
You told me that yesterday as well.
So we should probably do more research into it. But I just think the idea is very interesting.
Yeah.
So with hydroponics, having fish, you've kind of like got a mini I'd say ecosystem where the fish and plants are taking care of each other. They're feeding each other, and and then you harvest that later.
The fish as well.
Yeah, you harvest the fish as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't harvest all the fish, you harvest enough, because if there's too much food, there's going to be too much pH.
Yeah.
And the plants are going to die. At the same time, the same thing, if there's too many, they'll eat too many plants. If there's too many plants, there'll be too much food.
Yeah.
So you don't, so you just take the excess. You're not like this completely harming, the cycle. But I also feel that when we do these systems, just personally, I feel like we should make it much bigger so there's more space.
Yeah. So you're thinking about the fish.
Yeah, the fish as well. Because I've also heard, did you know in aquariums, the lifespan of the aquatic animals are much less than it is out in the sea?
Really?
Yeah, especially with dolphins.
Okay.
Dolphins, and they actually feel stress because of the space. It's not enough space, right? An aquarium is not enough space.
But would smaller fish?
With small fish would be good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure too much about fish though, right? Because it depends on different aquatic animals. But again, if you just master up, because I'm not asking for an additional space. It's just you don't want to do it in like a completely small scale.
Yeah.
But there are also people who do aquaponics and hydroponics in their backyard.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And there's actually a specific type of fish that they suggest to make use of all these. We should probably like do a bit more research on the types of fish.
Yeah.
I've just got a very light understanding, but I just still find it really interesting on the way things work, because I believe we can achieve.
It might be the future of harvesting.
Because I believe we can reach a greener future without having to like slow down the innovation in tech and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the expansions of cities as well into farmland.
Yeah. And this idea brings upon something I've talked to you about called solar punk, right?
Solar punk.
Yeah, solar punk. And
tell me.
So you've had a cyberpunk, right?
Yes.
Everyone's probably has.
The game, the video game.
Yeah, the game and
I've
all
heard.
that, right?
Yeah.
So the punk there stands by it's called rebellion. And if you want to know more about solar punk and cyberpunk, there's this person called I think Damie Lee or something. She's an architect, but she kind of covered over what solar punk is. And I think the punk in here, the rebellion, is against the economy, right? Because if you want to reach this greener future, money is a problem, right?
Yep.
There are so many architectural designs and all that to help optimize for all of these, but money again is a problem.
Yeah, you can take the example of Norway, which is they've had, I think, in 2023, 80% of their car sales were electric cars, and they have a lot of money, but it's because they sell a lot of oil.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're a green country, you can
Yeah,
say, but
yeah.
they sell a lot of oil. Same as Dubai, kind of, you can say that. But yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I just find it really interesting because it's such a good idea. And initially, I was not understanding where this punk came from. Because I initially saw it as a short. And funny enough, the best example, again, if you watch Dami Lee's, I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's Dmilee.
Okay.
And in her video, she probably covered over, what. So I just found it really, really interesting on how we can achieve a technologically advanced future alongside without like wasting the ecosystem. And many people might feel that like with oil, it'll be a wasted resource. But just because something is there doesn't mean we have to use it. And with
correct.
electricity, you're also like, you can think about it this way, right? With solar, if you had more solar panels, you'd be using more of the sun's energy.
I don't think solar panel is the way to go
Yeah.
for energy production for the future.
That's, I guess, also true because
Maybe if you put it on roofs,
Yeah.
But
So I don't think we should have farms for
Yeah,
solar.
yeah.
What I believe is two things. I feel like every house should have a solar system,
Yes.
solar panel system,
Yeah.
right? But I don't think every house should have its own solar like batteries, right? I believe what I think is a good idea
Yeah.
is, let's say you've got a region of houses. You've got one area where all the excess excess energy per house gets thrown into a big battery, right?
Yeah.
But again, some people want to like live off the grid, or they want to have like backup power and all that.
Yeah.
But batteries are not exactly the most eco-friendly thing. Solar panels aren't the most eco-friendly thing either.
Correct.
But solar panels require space. It's one of the problems with solar energy. The amount of space you need is insane, right?
Yeah.
But we've got houses, we've got roofs. We're not standing and jumping on our roofs.
And this leads into something that I know about. It's like a grid kind of, like your neighborhood, let's say. They all have solar panels,
Yeah.
but you don't all use the electricity at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can share the electricity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
which is very
there's
interesting.
actually something called, if you've ever like inside of a Tesla ecosystem with like the batteries, they have what you call a virtual power grid or something like that, where you sell your excess energy to this grid and you buy it back. We have these grids other ways, but I guess it's just more optimized. Like, not more optimized, it just helps link other people together. Because right now, the way it works, you just have like central grid. You sell energy back to the grid, and you buy it back from the grid.
Yeah.
Not generally just for solar. But I believe every house should also have a water system, like a big water tank.
Really?
Yes, because we have rainfall, right? We complain about like water and all that. And in areas like, there are some countries where they don't get much.
In France, there were protests about water.
Yeah,
about clean
exactly.
water. Yeah.
But when it rains, where does all this water go? It goes back into the thing.
Into the
And
soil,
some
yeah.
countries, like America, they don't allow you to like per state. Some state laws, they don't allow you to actually harvest your water. But
Wow.
Australia, they are very for. I think there are some government rebates that are for like replacing, because actually there are a lot of rebates in Australia. I think Australia's trying to encourage people to buy solar
Yeah.
power systems, replacing gas with electricity as well. Recently, I think since we have solar panels, we got like a notification, right?
Yeah.
Telling us, maybe we should swap our gas system for heating with solar. And again, coming back, because our water, we can harvest our water, store in some underground tank, and then having rainwater filters and all that, a bit of filters, so we can drink clean water. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, not everything in our house has to be completely clean. Yes, it shouldn't smell and all that, but there's like percentage levels of how clean it has to be. Like for
Wait,
toilets,
what do you mean
right?
by this? Yeah, okay.
So like, let's say for toilets, right?
Yeah.
So there are like different grades of filters. One of them gets rid of 99.999% of the bacteria, right? That for drinking water. But if you think about it, we don't have to.
Oh, you mean using like
those
dirty
filters.
water or like grey water for things that we don't actually need.
You don't want pure dirty water because that's going to make your house stink. It's going to ruin, you don't want things like that. But for our toilet, for taking a bath, we don't need drinking water level stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So we can also optimize for these on a per house basis.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can let the government and like all these plans take care of like, toilet water and all that. But you also save a lot of money as well, if you think about it.
Yep.
But the problem right now is, at least with like batteries and all these systems, they're very expensive, right? Like my house, we recently got a solar panel system. I think it pays for itself after 3 or 4 years. And it really does show it because we have not paid for electricity since we got it.
Wow.
Like, I'm not even joking. We haven't paid a single bit. We have 11 kilowatt system, but our inverter, the converter that, that makes it usable, is only 10 kilowatts, which is fine because even though some systems, you have to be aware that depending on where you live in the world, the different solar, like some areas you get a lot of sunlight, some areas you don't get much, you are not better off getting a solar power system, or you can, but you'll have to do a few other things, right?
Yeah.
And right now, my house does not have a battery because the way we've calculated it, the battery won't exactly pay itself off because when it gets over, it will die. The battery lifespan will go away. So batteries are something that we need to invest a lot more. We need more technology around it to make it more
that's
efficient.
possible to create better batteries?
Yes, there are actually so many ideas coming out.
Okay.
There are like so many startups optimized for different things. The different terminologies aren't coming to my head because I mostly did like light research to see whether I can get it for my home or not. And those systems were just in production.
How about the Tesla batteries? Do you need Tesla batteries? You can just buy them alone and have them for your solar panels, right?
Yeah, you can. You don't even have to have solar panels for a Tesla battery, right?
Yeah.
But I think Tesla batteries are also slightly more expensive. But the thing with some companies is the way they're, the apps are just so convenient, right? Like we do not have, we just have solar panels, right? So we don't have access to the Tesla thing. And for us, monitoring our power usage and all that is just limited to whatever app that they give us.
Yeah.
And we can't exactly see how much we're using and all that.
Okay.
With the Tesla battery, they do it really nice. They take care of discharging our electricity. They take care of, finding the optimal time in the day to buy and sell electricity.
Wow.
Right? The hackathon that I'm trying to convince you is about that.
Yes.
Right? So it's about like finding the optimal time in the day to buy and sell electricity so it's cheaper for you.
Yep.
So the battery does that, which makes it a bit more worthwhile.
That sounds fun to do.
Yeah, it sounds really fun.
And you told me you don't need a very high level of coding, and it's in 1 month, right?
Yeah, it's in 1 month. It's a 2-day hackathon, and
so you need to create it in 2 days.
Yeah, but if you're serious, they give a 17-day extension for people who are dedicated.
Okay.
And
it's a one person thing.
From 2 to 5 group. It's a teamwork thing from 2 to 5
and we're
people.
doing it in a group.
Yeah. So I got 2 other people.
Nice.
I've actually never met them. I just know I trust them because we go to the same uni, right? And they're in like the, club.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm kind of psyched for it. So basically, this event is called MLAI Battery Hack.
Okay.
And
so you're creating an algorithm. I guess AIs are just algorithms, but this is like very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. It doesn't actually like use AI, like neural networks and all that.
Yeah.
But to basically create an algorithm that finds the optimal time or predicts when they should save.
Predicts.
Yeah, so predicts.
So it doesn't just wait until there's.
Yeah, it doesn't wait. It predicts whether it's going to increase or not, so it can decide whether it has to buy or sell.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I assume that there's algorithms like that for the stock market as well.
Yes, it is very simple. Actually, my group and I were talking about like Fourier transforms and like a few other things and getting inspiration from the stock market. But luckily, we have a bit more information given. It's not as unpredictable as the stock market.
Yeah.
Because, we have, they're very seasonal or depending on the time of the day or depending on...
And the algorithm would need to know the actual news, what comes out about that stock in the stock market, I mean.
Yeah, so it would have, and there's so many different, I actually tried. Initially, I was planning on trying to be a day investor, what do you call it?
Day trader?
Day trader?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get into investing because I felt like I can, I initially for the sake of money.
You did make $12.
I did make $12, but I spent $800.
Yeah. But it's not spent. It's not spent money.
It's not spent, yeah. I can still get it all back, right?
Yeah. But you get taxed.
Yeah.
How much do you get taxed for in the stock market? I know in crypto it's 50%.
Okay, so the thing is, it's not necessarily 50%. It depends on your tax bracket.
Okay.
Because any money, your profit is considered as capital gains.
Yeah, so it gets added onto your yearly income.
Yeah, your yearly income.
So that right.
Yeah, that is why some people don't just want to keep buying and selling. And some platforms, they have brokerage fees where, the platform I'm using doesn't have a brokerage fee, but I'm not going to tell you. I will tell you, but I don't want to advertise it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other platforms and I don't want to get canceled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so you want to, if you want to get into stock market, because I know you're slightly interested in getting started with investing, which I believe everyone should do.
Yeah.
But not necessarily would they, invest for the long term. You're young, you can handle risks.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to invest in stocks. You can invest in index funds or ETFs, basically a collection of multiple stocks. So it's not as volatile. There is still risk, but I've only seen growth so far, right? Again, one day can crash, but don't blame it on me.
Have you been looking at how Bitcoin has been increasing?
I actually don't even know why it's increasing. But it's just kind of sad to see.
20% in 1 week, I think.
Yeah. So I've got my sister and dad.
Yeah.
Together, they made a profit of 16, 1.6K.
Wow.
So yeah. But they invested 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was around $3,000. And then I think it hit $1,600 Ethereum at least. And now it's at what, $6,000?
It's at 6,000.
Yeah, and you know what the price of one Bitcoin is? It's at an old
98 or something.
90,000, 98,000,
Yeah.
nearly $100,000.
Nearly 100. It's at its all-time high.
Yeah.
The
But
halving is soon.
I'm not interested in crypto because I feel it's too volatile for me. I can't handle
Yeah,
that.
I think it's because the halving is soon, and there's so much content on Instagram and YouTube now, and everybody's like, "What? I have to buy now because the halving is soon," and then.
Again, I am not just saying to keep it there. I am not a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And if you take my advice, majority of the time, chances are you're gonna be losing your money. But
So
I would
invest
suggest
with
doing
money
the
that you're
research,
ready to lose.
Yeah, invest with money. Actually, to be fair, I'm investing all my excess money. I have a set amount.
But you're doing a long term.
Yeah, I'm doing a long term. So there's a lot of research, a lot of stats for. There's a few suggested things that literally everyone will suggest that you invest in. If you don't know and you don't want to do, I suggest, or people will suggest, doing something called dollar cost averaging, right? I don't know why we're suddenly talking about it in stock markets, but we'll continue with this, right? So something called dollar cost averaging, where every set interval of your choice, preferably every max 1 month, or I do it every week because that's depending on my pay cycle. As soon as I get my pay, I keep some money into the investments.
Yeah.
And again, when I say investments, I do use ETFs. And what people suggest is because you want to diversify to reduce your loss.
Yeah.
Because
that's why you're investing only in
Yeah,
ETFs.
investing.
Do you plan on
Stocks?
investing in specific stocks?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I'm never planning in stocks. I just can't. I can't be bothered doing the research and all that.
Okay.
I've got a set. I'm just so there's something called a ASX 200 index, where it follows the top 200 companies in Australia. So there's something called A200. It follows that index. It's an ETF. There's something called VAS, follows the top 300 companies in Australia. And then there's another, so that is very highly recommended. A200 and so VAS and VGS. So VGS is like the global market excluding Australia. And the
global market. So everything excluding Australia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the top, there's like, it's not every single company in the world, but like there's like an index. I don't know exactly how they decided. Might be top companies in the world, but it's very diversified to not just, and generally the Australian market is only 2% of the world market.
Yeah.
So I won't recommend completely investing everything in Australia.
Yeah.
But you've got, and so I don't use VAS and VGS. I use A200 and BGBL because they have lower management costs. Don't want to get too into it because I'm not the expert.
Yeah.
But and the stock market in general has an average return of 8 to 10% per year.
Yeah.
But again, don't expect it to always be there. You know, maybe 1 year inflation can go like really high or just all of a sudden it just doesn't perform well. But generally, when you're younger, people say or investors suggest you can go for the risks, right? Yeah. I live with my parents. I've got what I want. I've got my laptop, got what I'm interested in and all that.
So you don't have any goals
or something
that you want to buy.
Which is why I am doing. Because you people have different financial situations. And honestly, if you are barely making it every week, you might not want to invest now. Maybe later on when you've got a bit more stable, or you've got a bit more funds, or a bit more funds that you're willing to like lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I've made a whopping $12.88. So
yeah. Check now. All
right. Oh, because the stock market would have closed. Either I think it's like, $12.88. I think it closed when I last showed you.
So you're addicted to checking your.
Yes, I'm addicted to checking, and because I don't have any more funds to keep into it, it kind of restricts me.
Okay.
At the same time, I don't want to sell because there's no point. The whole point with dollar cost averaging is every set interval, you put some money and you just keep doing that for a year.
Yeah.
My first goal, people generally suggest when investing, you have a goal that you want to earn up to. So my first goal is 100K within 7 to 10 years.
Maybe you should have a smaller goal within a small time frame.
Okay, so I'd say 10K maybe then for my smaller goal. But the reason is if I hold on to my job, right, and with the excess earnings, I can I'm not going to tell exactly how much I earn because, it's going to be public and all that.
Yeah.
But I think I can make around the contribution necessarily within the 7 to 10 years. And I'm just playing with long game.
Yeah, but that's with not by having big investments other than stocks. Maybe you'll want a car in 7 to 10 years.
That's true. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually kind of scared of driving. No,
do you have your P's? Or
yeah, I have my learners. I don't have my P's yet.
Okay.
Just in the road, you have to make split decisions. I'm kind of scared to drive in a way. It just worries me. I'm just always I've got so much adrenaline rushing. Yeah.
I guess
I should probably learn how to drive because it's an important thing.
I guess the thought of just any second you could just
exactly.
Swerve
I can just swerve. Or someone's gonna honk me.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, just honking just sounds like someone honking at you is just more scary than crashing. I don't know why. It's just
maybe you shouldn't be on the road. Yeah. Maybe it's safer for everyone.
Yeah. But I do probably want to learn. And maybe in 7 to 10 years I want a car. But I will think about my car later on. I could always sell a portion, which is not recommended at all, mind you. But I could always slowly divert. But they say 100K is the time where your net worth explodes because of compounding, right? Okay, think about it this way, right? Let's say you're at 10K,
Yeah.
right? And every year you get 7%, right?
That's $70.
10K times, I swear it's like 700.
700? Oh yeah, that's 700.
Yes, around 700,
yeah.
right? But if you had 100K invested right now, what is 7% of that?
7,000.
Exactly. And
Which is-
what is 7% of 100K plus 7,000?
Yeah.
So the
And it
way,
keeps going.
so yes, you don't have the funds right now, but the point is, that's actually where the term the rich keep getting richer,
Yeah.
because you have so much more money.
I guess you
it compounds more.
exponentially
Exactly.
get more and more money.
You exponentially get more and more money, and they say 100K is the time because it's easier to go from 100K to $1 million.
Than to
Get from
$100
0 to
or
100K.
zero, yeah.
But then again, I can't exactly say it's easier. It's just the time frame if you're continuing to do what you're doing. And when I say net worth, the reason I say net worth is because if you have a lot of liabilities like bank debt and all that, you can't really what do you say? Like, you'd have a lot of money going away towards it. So you would preferably, right? When I say net worth, you've got things invested into the stock market, which increases, or into houses. I personally feel like houses are way too expensive and require too much
Houses.
management. Yeah. So there's a lot of
But they're really good. In 10 years, I think they double in price in Australia.
That's true, but I want you to think about something else, right? I'd say the house market, the rental market is more volatile, but maybe there's a whole debate about it, so I'm not going to take any sides. Actually, I do have a side. I prefer the stock market because let's say you have someone you're renting your house to, right? If something breaks, they're going to call you and ask you to get things fixed up,
Yeah.
right?
You could have someone
Someone
managing your real estate portfolio.
That's true, but you have to. There are actually different ways. Some people pool in all their money into 10 people pool in to buy a house.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the stock market's so much easier to get into. You don't need to hire someone. You have you have brokers, but the brokerage I'm going with has a zero brokerage for selling and buying, right? That's all I care about. But you'll have to pay this manager a set portion. And for me, I will consider the rental market if I have enough. I don't, my job, my part-time, I work casual, right? It doesn't pay enough to afford, investing
But
into
after
rental.
uni, how many years are you
uni-
doing?
It depends. I'm not too sure, but
How long is your course right now?
it's 2 years because I'm doing an associate degree.
Yeah.
But if I want to, it's not, if I want to get to my degree, the one I want to do, I only save half a year. So maybe 5.5 years for my entire, to finish off my degree.
For bachelor's.
For bachelor's, right? I might do a master's, but if I do a master's, I might do a part-time.
And work part-time.
Yeah, because I actually I want to try getting a full-fledged job after my diploma.
Yeah.
And then study part-time.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing something kind of similar. Working after my bachelor's. And then if I wanted to, or if I needed to, I'd do a master's after.
Yeah, because I heard
don't know.
master's is highly recommended, or just generally being there. But I want to do a master's because I feel like you also learn. I feel like learning in uni is just so much easier than just learning by working. Well,
Yeah.
I've never worked at a job, just working on small projects.
Yeah, I think for electrical engineering, your master's you don't really learn in classes or in lectures that much. You're actually doing projects.
Yeah, exactly. You learn, but that's actually what RMIT is known for.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's the best way to learn is by doing.
By doing, exactly. And with universities, you're not the thing, okay, not just with uni, it's more forgiving. Mistakes are more forgiving,
Yeah.
right?
There's no consequence.
Exactly. There's no,
Well,
with the job, you might not always have consequence. You can make mistakes, but there's a limit to how many mistakes you can make. And with universities and schools and all that, yes, there are many people say you don't need a degree, but just by attending uni to earn the degree, you can like you can make so many mistakes without facing like, you know, major consequences, without affecting your portfolio or like your what do you call it? Well, without affecting like your option to career, you know? It's not like you might not be able to get good recommendations to go to another thing, to another job. But with high school, you've just graduated.
Yeah.
You can get ready. People look like, oh, you know, he went to RMIT. The big companies don't care about your degree. They care more about your portfolio, like what you've done. But when you just go out, they will give it a benefit of doubt that you've never had the opportunity to work. Which is why people suggest trying to look for a job as soon as you're done with university. Because I actually met someone, they were stuck in India. They did their master's in networking. They were stuck in India for 2 years. They came back. They can't get a job because they don't have the experience and they graduated 2 years ago.
Yeah. So do you plan on getting something like an internship during these holidays?
Yeah,
maybe?
I want to try getting an internship. I applied for an internship.
You did?
Yeah, I did. It was offered by our school, our university itself.
Okay. For when? The end of the year or the semester break?
It's actually from they announce the results on March 5th, and it's till December.
Okay.
And it's paid. But I actually don't care about it. Even if they told me I'm not going to get paid, I would go for it.
Yeah. That's enough pay. And did they give that email to?
It was all the people in my
associate's degree, first year.
Not just associate's degree. Everyone who's doing, what do you call it? Under infotech. So the diploma, certs, associate degrees, all of that, but just in like this area.
Okay.
I think stuff like tech support at like RMIT and like setting up networking and doing a bit of managing.
I hope you get it.
Yeah, I hope I get it.
Is there only one spot or multiple?
There's 3 spots available.
Okay.
But that's because there's 3 different roles available.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I get it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they don't give it to like some second year associate degree people.
Yeah, you definitely have the knowledge. I feel like you're smarter than the level that you're at right now at your associate's degree.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm finding a few things easier, and I am somewhat struggling in a few things.
But so you're learning.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to get into Ethereum. It's another rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's another rabbit hole.
But
we should split that because I think we've done like 3 topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's been an hour and 15 minutes.
An hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, that's
sounds
perfect.
good. It was pretty intensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can definitely talk about a few other things next time if I get invited again.
Yeah, you will. Definitely. Cool.
All right.
Bye. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Look out for new ones coming soon. The coming episodes are really interesting. Some great ways to support this podcast is by checking the social media accounts on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Another way is by clicking on the links in the description. There are some books there that would interest you if you liked this episode. And if you know someone or you'd like to come onto this podcast, email podcast.cktc@gmail.com. Thank you and have a good day.